أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا ربي يسر ولا تعسر ربي تمم بالخير. Tonight I'm going to just touch on a few things, but they're all related. In essence, sometimes we struggle to boost our Iman because of the fast pace of life. The ongoing day-to-day tasks, work, family, responsibility, kids, neighbors, things, I need to do this, bills, cars, whatever. And this is life. No one can escape this. Even the Sahaba, they used to say to each other, come, let's sit down and remember Allah for an hour. Not literally an hour, but in the sense, let's come, as I say, come for 5 minutes. It's not really 5 minutes, but in other words, come for a break. Let's just come, sit, remember Allah, and renew our Iman. In other words, take a time out. Let's take a break. The Prophet ﷺ, he used to do this. Before prophethood, where did he used to do it?
When he was shepherd.
Yes. For us, it could be definitely shepherding. But for them, shepherding was like us going to work these days. Shepherding for them is normal. But for us now, shepherding is like relaxing time.
In the cave.
In where?
In the cave.
In the cave. In Ghar Hira. Ghar Hira is an amazing place. It's very small. Maybe as much as if you put two of these chairs together, that's how big the actual cave is. You can fit one person making sujood. And one person just standing up, like you can't stand up tall in the cave. Very small. But if you look at the location, away from Mecca, away from the hustle and bustle, not only far away in distance, but up high. It takes about an hour just to climb up. But when you're there, it's amazing. You're away from everything. Physically, which in turn, mentally and spiritually, disconnects you from everything. And so I don't want to go back to, I don't even want to go near the office. I don't even want to go near school. I don't even want to go near whatever it might be. Physically being away from something gives you that way, gives you that chance that I'm disconnected. I'll give you another example. Let's look at this in a non-physical way. Sometimes if I leave the house and I'm just going for a short trip and I forget to take my phone, I say, Allah decreed that my phone stayed there. Yalla, keep going. That 5-minute trip or the 10-minute trip is the best 10-minute trip I can imagine. Because you know, no one can call you, no one can message you, you don't have to do that. No, it's disconnected. And why do people get all the good ideas when they're in the shower? Because they know no one can come call them saying, oh, we need your help, we need you to do this. So, alas, they're in the shower, they're stuck. All the good ideas start coming out. Because you're in a state of mind, you're disconnected, you can now relax. Your brain can now think. The Prophet ﷺ used to go to Ghar Hira before prophethood. After prophethood, what was his time out? It used to last for 10 days. Or 10 nights actually. I'tikaf in the masjid. He used to go into the masjid and not come out for 10 days. That was his time out. It's important for us to take a time out. Time out is not just for kids. And in fact, I actually hate the fact that that's something they refer to when they get in trouble. No, time out shouldn't be when you get in trouble. Time out is to stay healthy. In fact, If you want to punish kids, don't send them to timeout. Timeout should be something that they should enjoy. And we should grow up enjoying. And if you didn't enjoy it when you were a kid, you definitely enjoy it as an adult. But to take this timeout is very important. For our iman. For ourselves. For every part of our health. Our physical health, our spiritual health, our emotional health, our mental health. All of these. And also for our connection with Allah. Sometimes we know Allah is always there. But being distracted, I'm not talking about just gadgets, distracted in many things, doesn't allow us to fully connect with Allah. And you know, when we're always stuck between four concrete walls or whatever, gyprock, computers and digital and this and whatever and vehicles, and our bodies, what are they made from? Majority of our body is made from what? Water. And the rest of it is made from what? Dirt. Nature. Creation. Creation. The closer we are to it, the more tranquil we feel. The further we're away from it, the more anxious we feel. It's not complex, it's not science, it's just simple. And all of these have an impact. When we get so caught up dealing with people, we get distracted from dealing with Allah. And sometimes dealing with people, you deal with good people, you deal with bad people, you deal with hard people, you deal with soft people, you deal with people that complain and people that nag, and people that give you good news and people that give you bad news. And it's just constant attacks on the heart. Allah says in the Quran, isn't it time that the heart becomes soft with the remembrance of Allah and what He has revealed from the truth? Isn't it time? It's time for a break. It's time out. Have mercy on yourselves, and Allah will have mercy on you. Taking a time out, being close to nature, allows you to reconnect. In fact, you know, when you go to a place that's luxury, or even when you go to people, you go to therapists or anything like this, or when you go to clinics, what's generally the smell and the sounds that they have in these places? Or even hotel lobbies, like you're hearing them in hotel lobbies. Sounds of water, sounds of waves, sounds of birds, sounds of trees. The senses, what you smell, what you hear, what you see, also has an impact on the heart. If you see something haram, does it not put a dot on your heart? So what if you see something that's halal and something that reminds you of Allah? It cleans the heart, yeah? So it's not just the theoretical stuff, but the physical and all the senses are also very important. I remember one time, there was once me and a brother, we were organizing a dawah event, and we just had to make some simple decisions, take some simple decisions for bookings or whatever it was. And we just couldn't. 3 weeks. 3 weeks. Every single day our brain just couldn't connect. Until one time, during the day, I think we prayed Dhuhr or we prayed Asr, and I said, lock up, let's go. He said, where are we going? I said, just come. About maybe 10 minutes from here, there's a creek that's away from the main roads, and it's deep and it has running water and ducks and big trees and smell oxygen, beautiful. So let's go there and we go for a walk. We went there and we started walking and discussing. In less than 10 minutes, the entire event was organized. We knew exactly what we wanted to do. Everything was done, organized, tick, 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 within 10 minutes. That change of environment and that change of atmosphere and that change of mindset, and when the body is moving and you're connected with nature, this has an impact on your Iman. This has an impact on your Iman. Everyone has their special spot. Some might like brightness. Some might like darkness. Some might like places where there's lots of people and they just sit in the corner. And some might not like any people at all. Some might like to go to a masjid. Some might like to go to a park. Some might like to go anywhere. And some might like to be just in a corner of their home. They have a special corner. Their special mihrab. Whatever it is, you know. If you feel connected with Allah in that spot, be in that spot. If not, change it. As one of the scholars, he said, if nothing changes, nothing changes. If nothing changes in your life, nothing changes. If you want something to change, you need to change something. Change your environment, you feel your heart revive, you feel your mind revive. That's number one. Number two, so I'm going from macro, now I want to go into very small micro. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, do not belittle any good deed. Do not belittle any good deed. And he said this to Aisha. Sometimes in the hustle and bustle of life, as you mentioned before, we overlook or we neglect these small little deeds that, to be honest, could be the reason of us entering Jannah or not. Don't be too taken away with these big things that you might do. In many ahadith, even in many ayat in Quran, it talks about what? The atom's weight of good. And that's Allah mentioning it. I'm sure He's got many things He's taken care of. Yet He still mentions the atom's weight of good you will see. These small things in the sight of Allah, the numbers don't count. In fact, the only reason Allah mentions numbers is just to be an incentive. But it's never the objective. It's just that you might judge some things in a certain way. This one's worth freeing 10 slaves, or this one is as much as the ocean, or this one is 100 times this, or 1,000 times this, or 1,000,000 times this. But our eyes shouldn't be stuck on the numbers. These are just incentives. Do you think somebody who fights and wants to become a shaheed is just so he can have Hur al-Ain in Jannah? That's it? These are just incentives, they're not objectives. Our objectives should be bigger. Our objectives should be Allah. That if we do something, don't get caught up in how many hasanat there is. For every letter we recite in the Quran, it's 10 hasanat. That's what you say. I believe it can be zillions, because I know I'm dealing with the one who has zillions. Don't get caught up with the small numbers. Get caught up with the spirit and the sincerity and the magnification of this small act in the eyes of Allah. Put it deep in your heart that my objective always is Allah. Not people, not enemies, not numbers, not material, not money, not nothing. Let the sincerity come out even in these small things. I'll tell you one time a story. We were in Hajj, and this was the day of Eid. The day of Eid generally in Hajj is the hardest day, because you haven't had much sleep the night before in Muzdalifah, and the day of Arafah was hectic, and you're walking from Muzdalifah to Mina, and then you gotta walk and do the Jamarat before Dhuhr, so you got like the morning peak sun in Saudi, and if you can, you gotta do your tawaf and so on. If you're young and fit, it's tiring. If you're old, it's really tiring. And I mean really tiring. There's a lot of walking. And you're not like walking on like Nike Air Maxes or something. You're walking with like thongs or slippers or... We had a big group. The Australian group that we had was maybe 600 people. So we're walking, and obviously you always got the fast people and the leaders at the front, and you've also got the people that their health is not the best, and they're at the back. And generally, where do I stay? At the back. So they kept walking and walking, and I would message some of the leaders and I would say, just back up, because there's no way that we can keep up. I can hold these ones, but bit by bit. Like they can't, these people can't keep up. Some of them are big, some of them have health issues and so on. Anyway, they said, no, we've got to keep going, we've got to keep going. We can't stop, we just got to keep going. And many of the Hajjaj are staying behind. So I said, you know what? As Musa alayhi salam said, Inna ma'aya Rabbi sayahdin. Allah is with us, He'll guide us, He'll help us. We kept walking. They wanted to get the buses that will take us back to the hotel. It's a long road down the hill, but it's one of the big hills back to our hotel. And normally there's bus services there. So anyway, they kept walking. They got there, the bus service wasn't working. It wasn't operating. So they said, well, we're not going to stop. We're going to keep going. So they said, we're going to walk down that long road back to the hotel. After all of the morning of Mina and Muzdalifah and Mina and the Jamarat and everything. And it's hot, and it's really hot. People are dehydrated and everything. So anyway, we got to the last bit of the tunnel, and by that time the rest of the group had already not given a care about anything. They said, we're going to walk all the way down. So they walked. And then I looked at some of the ladies. We only had maybe about like 10 people with us. But their health were really not good. Among them women, among them elderly men. At that moment, I said, you know what? These people need some rahmah. Just have a break. But we'll miss the group. We won't be lost. We'll sleep in the hotel tonight. Don't worry. But we won't be lost. Have a rest. Relax. We went. We got them some water. We got them to drink some nice, fresh, cold water. And they were making dua. By that time, the rest of the group were already well on their way in the long walk down. I waited just 5 minutes. And they said, no, it's okay, we'll manage. I said, no. You stay until you're fully rested. Has nothing to do with me. When you're ready, we'll go. Have some mercy. 5 minutes later, they made a big announcement. Bus services are starting again. Who was the first people on the bus? Our group. And you know what was the sweetest thing? Was driving down the road on the bus, waving to all the group that was ahead of us. And we got there before us. And we got there before them, sorry. I remember the hadith. ارحموا من في الأرض يرحمكم من في السماء. Have mercy to those on earth. Allah in the heavens will have mercy on you. These small things sometimes are the keys to Allah. These small things are the pathways and the doors to Allah. Many a times these small things actually have a big impact and hold a heavy weight in the scales of Allah. And it's important for us, it's really important for us to remember this. Once one of the scholars of hadith, one of the biggest scholars of hadith who is still alive today, he said some beautiful words, and I'm going to read them out. He said, "Do not let anyone see you except that you are happy." Do not let anyone see you except that you are happy. Let them always see your smile, and if things get difficult, the Quran is your paradise. If loneliness starts to hurt, send your supplications through the heavens. And when people ask, "How are you?" praise Allah and smile. Very simple. He then said, and by the way, realize how he said, "Do not let anyone see you except that you are smiling." The smile initially is to show them that yes, there is still good in this world. Because they might be having a worse day. And if they're having a worse day and they see you frowning, guess what's going to make them frown as well? And by you smiling, you actually release hormones in your body. These are happy hormones. And sometimes all they need is just to see someone smiling. And that person was you. And just because of that smile, you fill their life with happiness. And you know what happens? They become so happy that they say, "Thank you so much for just being here. You made my day." And how do you think that makes you feel? Even if you're upset, even if you're sad. The Prophet ﷺ, it was his sunnah to smile. Even when he'd be talking, he would be smiling. It doesn't have to be like happy things. The nature of his conduct was that he would always show people this smile. Then he continued, "When you see an ant on the sidewalk," look how small he's going. This is a scholar of hadith. He's one of 2 people on earth that Shaykh al-Albani said, "After me, if you want to take hadith, take from one of these 2 people." Look at the position he holds and the responsibility towards the ummah. And look at what he's focusing on. He said, when you see an ant on the sidewalk, avoid stepping on it. Seeking the face of Allah in that act. For perhaps He will have mercy on you as you had mercy on that ant. It's an ant. He said, remember that the ant glorifies Allah, as mentioned in the Quran. He said, so don't cut off its glorification by killing it. SubhanAllah, look at the way he sees this creature. Look at how he's connecting Allah in even walking and seeing Allah in everything that's around you. Your Iman fills your heart when you don't see an orange. Your Iman fills your heart when you see the miracle of Allah's creation of water and time and soil and fruits and trees and vitamins and all things in this orange. You see the miracle of Allah's creation in this orange, not the vitamin C or the color. He said, so remember that the ant glorifies Allah, so don't cut off its glorifying by killing it. He then said, when you pass by a bird drinking from a pond, don't walk near it so as to scare it, and seek therein the face of Allah. Perhaps He will spare you from being terrified on the day when the hearts will reach the throats. So if you see a bird, because birds are very edgy. Sometimes you're not even you're just walking and all of a sudden you see a bird fly, you got scared from it. If you see a bird drinking from a pond, walk around, leave it. that rahmah might be something small to you. But in the eyes of Allah, He could have forgiven you every single thing you ever did in your life and enter you into Jannah with the 70,000 that have no account because of that act. And even if you built 100 masajid, it wouldn't be the same. These are all things that every one of us has an opportunity for. He said, when a cat gets in your way on the road, avoid running it over and seek therein the face of Allah. Perhaps Allah will save you from an evil end. Imagine being hit by a car. So if you see a cat on the road, or even a bird on the road, you know some birds that are a bit cuckoo, where like you're driving and like it's not moving, and then you have to like beep and slam on the brakes for it to move, and it just hops, like it just jumps, it doesn't even fly. And maybe because you don't want it to die under your tire, and you say, Ya Rab, I hope you think of me and I hope you remember me when it comes time to die, that you let me die in an honorable way. He then said, when you are tempted to throw away leftover food, or food that might have gone off, let your intention be that some creatures or animals will eat it and place it somewhere that they can get to it. Don't say animals will eat it and chuck it in the bin. Either in a garden or in the strip or in a bush or something like this. Seeking therein the face of Allah, perhaps Allah will send you provisions or rizq through means you never imagined. There was one time an elderly man, a very soft-hearted one. He traveled from Australia to Egypt, from one side of the world to the other. And he was going to a certain area and he wanted to have lunch. So he went to a restaurant and he ordered some food, just a few pieces of meat. Just as he sat down and they brought out the food, what came and sat next to him? A cat. A little kid. So this man, he was very soft-hearted. So he grabs this piece of meat and he gives it to the cat. And it starts eating it. And he eats it. And he's watching it, enjoying the cat eating. And then it comes and asks for some more. He had 3 pieces of meat. He fed all 3 pieces to the cat. That cat is rizq. If the cat, there's no way the cat could have ordered 3 pieces of meat from this cafe. Allah will provide rizq from sources you can't imagine. In fact, someone sent me a photo the other day. He had a picture, a guy was in a car and he took a photo of what he saw in front of him. There was a truck that had a camel on it and his head was sticking up at a red light, and another truck that was next to it also at a red light that was filled with fruits and vegetables. And the camel is just, and it had the ayah, يَرْزُقُ اللَّهُ مَن يَشَاءُ بِغَيْرِ حِسَابٍ. Allah will provide provisions for whom He wants without any limit. So if you're giving this food or putting this food in the bush or something like this, let this be the intention. He said, and remember, do good no matter how insignificant it may seem to you. Never know which good deed will be the reason for you entering paradise. It's not hard. But don't get caught up in life. Every now and then slow down. Or even in the middle of the battle. In the middle of the battle, it's okay to just stop, take your time, and then continue. It makes you feel human again. It connects you with Allah. the intention plays a big role. And our sincerity also plays a big role. And our humility also plays a big role. Bro, I got enough things I've got to do. You want me to start worrying about ants? I got ant problems at home. I got to try and get rid of them. If you can ever remove something without killing it, with that intention that these creatures glorify Allah, then do so. The Prophet ﷺ, he spoke about a prostitute from Bani Israel. For someone to commit any type of sin is one thing. To commit a sin that's really disgusting and really immoral, this is something that's not really loved by Allah. Yet one act, it was a life of evil, one moment. How long do you think? I don't know her age, but let's just say she was 20 years old. I'm not going to say 30 or 40 or 50 or whatever. I'm going to say 20. Let's say she was 20 years old. 20 years is a life. How long do you think it would have taken to take off her shoe, fill it up with water, and feed it to a dog, or drink it to a dog? 30 seconds? I'm being generous. 30 seconds? 30 seconds, one moment. Allah forgave her 20 years of sins. He didn't go back to account, but I'm going to keep this one. That act caused her Jannah. That small act. These creatures that are helpless, that can't do anything for themselves, if Allah has chosen you to be that reason, this is a sign of Allah. This is a sign that Allah has given you an opportunity, and it's up to you if you want to take it or not. Sometimes Allah will place something in front of you. If you say, nah, no thank you, for no reason, no real valid reason, because you see it as this guy's annoying, or this person's thing, or this is going to be this, or this is going to be that, or whatever. You're seeing it from the dunya perspective. But if Allah places something in front of you, and you see it in Allah's perspective, it's different. If a dog comes and he's thirsty, or a cat, or whatever it might be, or you're walking, going for an evening walk, and you see a bird that's limping or something, would you just say, that's, just... Or would you go and take it and put it in a box and go to the vet, or go to somewhere, or go drop it off somewhere? And these small things could mean Jannah for you or not. Don't belittle these small deeds. The heart in what we do, and the intention with what we do it with, and the sincerity in which we do it, can make a huge difference. There was once a man, I believe he was from Bani Israel. He passed away, but before he passed away, he ordered his sons to cremate him. And to spread his dust in different areas. Why? Because he didn't want Allah to raise him up and punish him for all the bad that he had done in his life. So Allah knows all this. So even while he was cremated, it was just dust. Allah ala kulli shayin qadir. وَيُحْيِي وَيُمِيتُ وَيُمِيتُ وَيُحْيِي. He raised him back up. He combined all of this in his way, and he raised him back up. And he said, why did you do what you did? He said, Ya Allah, I feared your punishment. Look at the lengths he went to, just so he doesn't want to get Allah's punishment. So Allah says, I have forgiven. Was there anything mechanical about this? Was there anything numbers about this? Nothing. Halal, haram, nothing. It was the heart in which he came to Allah with. That act, that intention, that sincerity was what caused Allah to forgive that man. So you can say, I've prayed this much and I've done this, and these numbers, to be honest, they shouldn't impress anyone, not even yourselves. Numbers and how many things we do and what things we've achieved by the will of Allah, none of this should even have a twinkle in our eye. If the heart is not sincere and not alive and not pure and not really having that intimacy with Allah. Like the man, also again from Bani Israel, there are many stories about Bani Israel, and that's why the story of Musa alayhi salam was mentioned so much in Quran, because there were so many lessons about Bani Israel. He was a businessman, and he came on the Day of Judgment with no good deed in his book. They couldn't find one good deed. Until when he was standing before Allah, Allah found one. And what was that? When this man would come to work, he would ask his staff, is anyone of our customers that took some of our stock struggling to pay? Did any of them have financial hardship? Are any of them unable to pay? Let's say, yeah, this one and this one and this one, he couldn't pay and he has to ask us if he can wait another 2 months or whatever. They said, all right, let this one off, let this one off, let this one off. Don't worry about it, don't worry about it, don't worry about it. He forgave them. He comes on the Day of Judgment and Allah says, you are not more forgiving than me. Allah is jealous. Allah is not Kareem. Allah is not Kareem. Allah is Al-Kareem. No one can take that position except Allah. Allah is not Ghafoor. Allah is Al-Ghafoor. He is not forgiving. He is the most forgiving. And that doesn't belong, and He won't give that to anyone except Him. He is the best of the best. He said, you are not more forgiving than me. You're forgiving all these people, I am better than you. You're forgiven, go into Jannah. Because He would just let some people off for a few dollars. What might be small in your eyes might be big in the eyes of Allah. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, do not belittle any deed. Listen to this hadith. Do not belittle any deed. Even if it's meeting your brother with a smile. That smile, don't belittle it. Even the sisters as well. I'm not saying the sisters smile to the brothers and the brothers smiling to the sisters. In general, everyone smile. But meeting your brother or sister or whoever it is with a smile. This here could be the reason of someone having hope back in life again. Can bring a person's heart happiness. And if they see you smile and you bring some happiness in their life, and then that go back home, and then there's happiness now in that home. The Prophet ﷺ said, whoever brings happiness into the home of a Muslim, حَقٌّ عَلَى اللَّهِ أَن يَرْضِيَ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. It is the right upon Allah that He pleases them on the Day of Judgment. This is just a smile. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, do not belittle. And we'll end with this one. The Prophet ﷺ says in a hadith, save yourself from Jahannam. Save yourself from Jahannam. Who does not want to save themselves from Jahannam? No one. Everyone wants to save themselves from Jahannam. وَلَوْ بِشَقِّ تَمْرٍ. Even if it's by half of a date. You know the date? Not a full date. Half a date in charity. This half a date in charity could be the reason Allah will protect you and your face and your body, and Allahu A'lam, what else? From Jahannam. So when you're having iftar, you're not saying, oh bro, give me, I gotta break my fast. No, you're not saying this. You get that date and you're looking to see who's the first person you can give a date to. And if there's only one date, you split it in half. And you say, this is yours. It could be your whole life, whether you're 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 or 60 or 70 years old, 100 years old, and everything you've done in your life. And that half a day that you split with these 3 fingers that you give could be the reason that Allah protects your face and your body from Jahannam. These small things, look out for them. These small things in our eyes should be the same in the eyes of Allah. They should be big. Because if they're done with the right intention and with sincerity, they are big. And I always remember a story, and I think I've mentioned this before, of one man who was a da'i. He had done so much work in his life for Islam. And then after he died, his friend saw him in his dream, and he said, what happened? Tell me. He said, Alhamdulillah, I made it. He said, why did Allah enter you into Jannah? He said, once I prayed 2 rak'at that was sincere by myself. And not for anything else that he had done. And he had done a lot for the ummah. Just because of 2 rak'at. Don't belittle small deeds. And they're not my words. They're the words of the Prophet ﷺ. If you see something small on the road, in the pathway of people, pick it up, move it across. These small things should become habitual for us. If they become habits for us, wallah, you'll be living on earth like you're living in Jannah, but still on earth. So we ask Allah really that He cleans our heart and He opens our basar, our sight, not of our eyes, but of our understanding and of our hearts, that these small things we do, and wallahi, you'll see the difference in your life, you'll see the difference in your heart, and you and others will see the difference in your face. And if you're that one person, imagine the impact that you'll begin to have on others. So we ask Allah that He empties our heart from all diseases and all the poisons and all the rust, and that He fills it with iman and sincerity and yaqeen, and allows us to see Him in every single thing that we see and that we do. Ameen. Ameen. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك وجزاكم الله خير والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.